Hello, this is What's All About with another watch review, and here we're looking at the offering by Tusenö, which is their model called the First 42. It comes in a variety of different colorways. This one here is quite obviously the black dial with the rose gold case and the matching rose gold butterfly clasp as well. Tusenö first came on the scene on a couple of years ago, September 2015 now, when they first launched their Kickstarter campaign. And I've kept quite a keen eye on them since that time as well, because I think it's one of the nicer, if not the nicest, smart dress chronos that's been put out there through Kickstarter, and they had a really successful campaign as well. So you can buy them now, obviously. It will cost you 3,495 Swedish krona, but don't worry, it's not quite that much in pounds or dollars. That equates to about £295. So it's just shy of £300. Pretty pretty solid territory for a micro brand. For a decent, well-made watch. So let's see if it is, just that, and if it's worth the money. So let's think about the specs quickly. So the size of the case is quite a nice, decent size. We have a diameter of 42 mil. If I just put it on my 7¼ inch wrist. So we have 42 mil in diameter. We have quite a nice height of just 11.5 mil. So that's quite streamlined. And we have a lug-to-lug length of 49.5 mil. So the size it's a pretty good size on the wrist. Obviously at 42 it is on the larger side for a classic smart watch, but the fact that it's a chronograph and we have the sub dials, it's all spaced out nicely, and I think it holds it off. It pulls it off well. The extra size gives you a lot of wrist presence. Weight wise, it's 90 grams, so it does have a good weight to it. That's probably mainly because of the Seiko movement. We'll talk about that shortly. So that gives it quite a fair bit of weight behind it. So yeah, it feels good and solid in the hand and on the wrist. So the movement then is a Seiko VK64, which we've seen a number of times in micro brands who were trying to get an affordable chronograph. The cool thing about it is that it's not fully quartz. So although the time mechanism is quartz, the actual chronograph is more mechanical, which is why it's called a mecha quartz. So as you'll notice, we don't actually have a running second hand. So as it stands, we can't actually see any sort of movement, which is a good way of hiding the fact that it's mainly quartz. So we have a 24-hour indicator here. This is our chronograph hour indicator here, and then our main second hand here is the chronograph seconds. So if I start the timer, we have our chronograph seconds going. So you can tell that it's more mechanical than quartz by the way it has multiple ticks per second. In this case it's 5 ticks per second. So once we stop it, we also have more of a mechanical snap back, it's called. So it just goes straight back, whereas with the quartz, when you reset it, the hands tend to just rotate slowly back up to the reset point. So if I just leave that running. So the Seiko VK64 is very well used. We've seen it a number of times, and as you'd expect with the Seiko, it's pretty solid, pretty sturdy. So it's it's a great choice to have in any watch really. So they've done a good decision. They've had a good choice there. Our straps are 20 mil at the lugs, reducing down to 18 mil at the buckle. So we'll talk about the strap a little bit more in detail later, but yeah, that's suitable for the size of the watch. I think it's not too thick, thin enough to keep it classy looking. And we have a domed sapphire crystal, only single dome, as you can see when you hold it at an angle. If you were to have a double dome with a dome on the underside, it would actually counteract that distortion there. So you don't have much visibility from about there. It starts getting distorted. But, you know, that's not really a big issue. Okay, so that's all the specs. Let's have a look at it in closer detail. So starting off with the dial then. It is black. It's quite hard. I'm in a conservatory, so it's quite hard to not get, you know, a little bit of reflection on it. But as you can see, it's a very nice, it's not jet black, but it's quite a nice dark charcoaly black. And then our subdials have a very gentle concentric circular pattern to it, which I will show you with the macro lens in a little while. It's quite hard to see with the naked eye, but it is there, which is a nice little, you know, close attention to detail. The hands are all quite nice and standard. The subdials are very straightforward points, and these are nice pitched Dauphine hands as well. You can see, get a variety of reflections depending on the light angle. Everything else is printed. Well, sorry, not everything else. We have the these applied hour markers, which are rose gold to match the hands in the case, and they're sort of like a an eclipse semicircle kind of profile to them. We'll see it in closer detail with the macro lens, but they're all very nicely manufactured and stuck on. No, you know, no signs of cheap materials or anything like that. So everything else is printed. The logo, all the markings, just plain white printing on the dial. All finely done. You know, it's got good definition to it. If you look close, look at close up, which is pretty good as well. And I just think the design in general is really nice design, really smart but simple and classic. So I'm, you know, I really like it. I'm happy to wear it, and like I said before, it's one of the nicest looking watches to come out of Kickstarter. So I'm pretty impressed by it, really. Moving on to the case then, we have a polished bezel, as you can see there, and then the sides and the top of the lugs are brushed. Moving on to this side, we have a completely polished pushers and crown, and then everything on the underside is all polished as well. Let me just give that a quick wipe. So we see there we have nice attention to detail on the case back there, with the logo engraved in the centre and some details around the outside, and their slogan, "Born on the Swedish West Coast." So Göteborg is the city where they're based. So the case in general, really nicely manufactured and finished. We have a very nice, you know, alternating finish, and it, you know, it just it's really nicely done. It's really refined as well. If you feel the corners, you know, it has great definition. You can tell that they've paid a lot of close attention to the machining of the actual watch, and the finishing is very good as well. And it's proving to stand the test of time. I've actually worn this quite a lot, this watch, and you'd expect to see quite a number of scratches by now, but it's actually proving to be quite resilient, so that's good. Moving on to the pushers, they're nice and sturdy. They don't protrude out too much, which is good, but they give you a nice defining click when you're using them. So they're nice to use. The crown has the T engraved on the end, and it's just a push-pull crown, so you can, let me stop that and reset that. You can see our chronograph minute hand is advanced. So if I just pull it out, we can set the time like so. Push it back in. Okay, so moving on to the strap. A very nice dark oaky colour. Quite nice quality as well. It's not the most amazing quality, but it's suitable for the price. Very comfortable to wear. It has it is quite supple and it doesn't need too much breaking in either. So we have first 42 on the bottom there, and the logo on the other side. Obviously a stamped crocodile print, but it's got a nice selection of brown hues to it, which is a very nice colourway. So yeah, it's good. It's good. It's not out of this world, but it's perfectly suitable. Moving on to the butterfly clasp, this is really nice to use, as you'd probably expect from a butterfly clasp that looks like this. Easy to use. Just click one side, click the other side, and we have the Tusenö logo deeply engraved on the top bar, and just press the two to release it. So it's very easy to put on, as you can see. There we go, straight on like that. Very comfortable on the wrist as well. You can see it sort of follows the curvature of my wrist, so that makes sure that it's a nice comfortable wear. And then just two buttons to release it, and like so. Okay, so let me get the macro lens on then, and we will look at it in closer detail. So, starting with the dial. So here's the subdials with the concentric circular pattern, as I mentioned before. Not too visible from the naked eye, but as you can see, it's there. So that's a nice little close bit of attention to detail. They're also on a lower level than the rest of the dial, so that provides a nice bit of depth to the dial, which it otherwise is quite flat. If we have a look at these hour markers, get a decent angle on one of them, so you can see there how they have there we go, got that in focus now, like an arc to them. They're not just flat, which is a nice little touch. Again, something that you wouldn't necessarily notice, but when you look at it close up, they just provide a little variety of reflections, as you can see there. Depending on the light, depends on how much is being reflected, so depending on the angle. So that's a nice little tiny touch, which makes a little bit of difference actually. Looking at the printing, as you can see, it's all pretty fine there. Nothing crazy out of the ordinary. And then our hands, you can see they're pitched, and as you can see, they're really well manufactured with no real issues at all. Okay, so moving on to the case. Here's the brushed side. You can see the corner here, how it's really nicely manufactured. Look at that sharp, clean line. Then we have our polished bezel sitting on top. If we move to this side, we have our T. Slight scuff on there, unfortunately. So we have our T deeply engraved on the crown, and then our pushers are nicely made as well. Moving on to the case back. Just give that another quick wipe. Here's the logo engraved in the center. So you can see that's nicely engraved, and the details surrounding that are the same. It's just a screw-in case back, as you can see there. Moving on to the strap then, here we go. Nice matching brown stitching to match the brown crocodile print on top. And on the underside, nice soft underside with Tusenö on one side, first 42 on the other. And then if we just have a quick look at the butterfly clasp, this is the top bar, As you can see, Tusenö is really deeply engraved on that as well. Then if I open it up, our little mechanisms and our pushers as well. Okay, so as I mentioned before, I've been quite a long-standing fan of these watches, but I've only just recently got my hands on one, and I'm pleased to say that it hasn't really disappointed at all. You also get a really nice presentation case with the watch. So you know, the whole package is really well thought out, and you know, you do get a lot for your money. Obviously, for £300, it is a fair amount of money, but the attention to detail, the design as well, you are getting something that's pretty unique, but also something that's you know, just really classic and really well designed and nice looking. To match that is excellently made. Nothing really to fault on it at all. So if you like the design, then I would highly recommend it, because after all, for the price, it is a really nice watch. So I'm very happy with it. Okay, so the only thing to be aware of is that it is 42mm, so it is, you know, on the slightly larger side. That's literally the only thing you need to be concerned with. Okay, so this was the Tusenö First 42, and that's what it's all about.